Yeah, I do fart. I do fart next to them, but then only if it feels important.
Have you ever been to France?
Yeah, big time. Very much so.
Okay. I
Yeah.
it's I find it weird in that I lived in England for so long and France was so close, and I never thought to go there. Like I thought to go to other parts of Europe that were much not a train ride away, and it never once was I like I could just go to Paris for the day. I was just like, wow,
Yeah,
it
but
was,
you're Canadian, so the French are basically like Welsh people to you.
that's it. Absolutely the perfect sort of connective tissue of like, yeah, there's no. I have no ill will towards them. They're just sort of over there, and occasionally they shout very loud during some sort of disaster that affects their community and culture.
Yeah. Whenever anybody at school used to go on holidays to Wales, I used to think, stop kidding yourself. Just go to England. It's the same. You haven't been it's not
You
a
haven't.
different place. Go
But
to
I
Cornwall,
also
go to Devon, go to Dorset, go to Scotland.
I also
Don't go to
found that
Wales.
so weird when people talk about how different the North was than the rest of England. Where I was like, I felt like when you go to Devon and Cornwall seems very different in that they all talk insane. Everyone looks like they fucked their cousin. The trains are a different. The trains go from Paddington, which is I will not stand for that type
Why?
of behavior.
What's wrong with behaviour? What's wrong with it going from Paddington?
Paddington is the worst station in all of London, by far the worst station.
And what the worst major station?
No, I would put it after all tube stations. Then there's Paddington.
Have you ever been to Marylebone train station?
I certainly have.
Yeah, I think that's pretty bad.
Marylebone is quite close, and it's also part of Marylebone's problem is it's quite close to Paddington, which already puts it on my no list.
Yeah, but that's what it means. It's a diet caffeine free version of Paddington.
Of course, what
frozen.
it is.
How dare? Oh, there you are. You're back.
It's also one of those things where it's Paddington. Paddington should be very good. It's never easy to get to fucking Paddington Station. You're never just like, oh, I'll just pop. You can pop to Euston Station from anywhere in London. It's so convenient. Get on the Victoria line like a gentleman. Boom, right there.
I mean, I've spent the last few years of my life living in East Central London and now West London, and both of those places I found it a fucking joy to get to Paddington. And then when I get to Paddington, it's all open and fun, and also it has the major benefit of a train station is it's built around the lines which fuck off out of to where you're going. There's the sense of the excitement of the journey is built into the architecture of the train station, which is also true of Marylebone, but everywhere you can get to from Marylebone is dog shit. So there's a sense of foreboding and a sense of excitement. Whereas at Paddington, you go to Wales, which apparently is nice for some people if you're Welsh.
No one
and Bristol, Bath, Cornwall.
Again. But that's why it's so weird. That's that lends those destinations being wonderful because the beginning of your journey was Paddington Station. You're starting at a deficit. It's like if you woke up and someone just spat in your eye, and then someone made you a different person made you a nice breakfast, and then killed the person that spat in you. You would like that person even more because they've done those nice things for you. If you just woke up and someone had murdered someone in your flat and made you breakfast, you'd have questions. But by starting the journey with such a horrible time, Paddington, you have to see so many different Angus steakhouse restaurants. A Yo Sushi, where a comedian once told me, let's get there early so we can go to a Yo Sushi. So every time I see Yo Sushi, I'm reminded that there is sadness in the world. I have to remember that.
Have you still got the receipt for that mindfulness book, by the way?
I do, and that's why I'm not finished the mindfulness book, so okay. I'm still a raw nerve.
Okay.
What are you going to do for New Year's Eve? I assume that you will drink in the tub by yourself?
No, I'm gonna let my familia nostra stay up. My children. Um, and I think I'm going to try and get them into Jim Carrey films because Dumb and
Mm.
Dumber was on the TV earlier. According to the map, we've only gone 4 inches. Uh,
I mean, what's
it's
nice
good
about
stuff.
Dumb and Dumber you wouldn't think would have aged well, but because of Ace Ventura's absolutely phenomenally insane in retrospect third act, Dumb and Dumber has just rallied to being the most woke of his oeuvre.
Is the cable guy problematic?
I mean, one would assume I haven't seen it, but it's just any movie from the '90s. Like, someone's offending a homosexual in every '90s movie. Someone says like they were gay, and then another character goes ugh, like.
But that again is like even back then you could argue that that's more a joke about these people's weakness and the
Very
idea
much.
that they. And I think that's the thing is that there's a reason why Chandler is more like that in Friends than the other ones because he's the least secure in his sexuality, whereas Ross and Joey love like napping and having hugs together and stuff. Although they do they do struggle with it to an extent, I suppose you could.
Yeah, and like the whole joke of that is that they all wake up and they're having that hug. Like right now in 2020, you and I could, and I don't know what situation we'd be in when this would happen, but I would have. If we were going, you know what? Having a rough. I'm going through a divorce. I need a big spoon. I know that Alfie Brown would remove his lovely blazer and nestle up in the small of my back. It'd be a wonderful time. No judgment.
I think I'd find it quite hard to get the angles right spooning you. You're quite a large man, and you've got a long spine and short legs.
Yeah, I think it will. The nice benefit is you wouldn't need to do any sort of back of the head or neck kissing, so you wouldn't have to be like right it to the head. Do you know what I mean? You could just make camp somewhere in the back and make it seem like you're just sleeping against a wall like a drunk.
Yeah. You could be like I could create a nook, with your spine.
It's one of those things where it's like if we were ever in a situation where you need to hide from your children and we needed to take a nap and I needed comforting, it's almost the perfect situation ever.
Yeah, I could even get a little like a stick and prop it up and wrap your wrist to it, and then get a bit of tarpaulin and make a little teepee with you, or a sail. You could be a raft for me. Anyway,
that would be nice, wouldn't it? Also, the way you said raft was quite enjoyable.
Raft, yes.
So you're going to introduce them to Jim Carrey movies. Which one are you going to go for first?
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh, very good. I just assume just the third act, no context. Just stand by the television and go, children. That's how you treat those people. And
I want him to
you do this motion around people, of course.
Yeah, Lieutenant Einhorn is a trans person, and the fact that he has kissed Ace Ventura with his erection presently felt is akin to a vomit-inducing rape experience.
Of course, the entire police department of it just throws up at the end of that movie, and it took us a solid 20 years later for us to go, you know what, that may have actually necessitated a rewrite.
I thought the joke was that she'd got off with all of them. Limmy's online.
Of course.
Have you ever watched any other streamers?
I watched a load of them, yes.
Hmm.
I don't like that I'm feeling like I need to get a green screen. And also, it's one of those things where I'm just kind of more and more going, I like what I like about this. I'm not going to chase after it. Like you watch certain people and like every week they're adding 10 more elements and they now have a desk and they're doing a song and a dance. And it's like, at a certain point, I didn't get
you literally did a song tonight.
I mean, I sang a lot of songs, yes, but I meant more that there's like a song that they've written that's triggered by a video, as opposed to me that just sang karaoke for an hour because I was angry at Wayfair.com. Also, by the way, just full on singing a bunch of songs if you're very filled with venom because of a customer service situation, really, really just lets the poison out, I have to tell you.
What song did you sing?
I sang New Orleans is Sinking by the Tragically Hip. I sang Hakuna Matata of The Lion King. I sang Sex and Candy by Marcy Playground.
Is Twitch Sings a separate thing that you have to download?
That's right. And it stops working as of tomorrow.
Oh, why?
I assume because it is flagrantly filled with copyright violations. Like, you know how like usually the karaoke version of the song isn't the song?
Oh,
It
it
is
is the song.
is literally the instrumentation of the song. Like, I'm like, I saw what they did there where they were like, we'll just use the song, they won't catch us, because it was streaming up until before Corona, when streaming was like, no one's doing this, just all these incels and these nerds. And then Corona happened, and now streaming is the new podcast, and it's countdown until
I'm not sure about whether I like what to do on it. I've sort of given myself a little Christmas break because I was feeling, I started to do it quite badly because it started to make me quite depressed, and so I went, I'm going to leave it for a bit and then come back to it and do something else, or I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't carry on just talking to people for an hour and a half every night because it's sending me fucking insane.
I mean, first of all, you shouldn't be doing it every night. And also, like, play games, do different things, like sing for an episode. I did one where I just danced for an hour, and everyone got upset, and they just kept leaving and coming back and going, why are you still dancing? And I would say, because this is what we're doing today. And that filled me with absolute, like, fuck you, this is what we're doing. Like, just treat it where it's like, this is anything. In the same way of, I wanted to do a podcast with you because I think we both like chatting and making each other laugh. And I'm sick and tired of, in comedy, when it comes to the ever dreaded content creation, everything needs a hook or an angle or a this, where it's just like, I'm just going to start doing the things that I like. And if it catches on, it catches on. And if it doesn't, well, then I'll just move on to another thing. And because the internet is forever, it will just stay there and slowly collect views or not collect views or become a time bomb that ends my career.
The internet is forever. Another good podcast title. I like your 90s headphones. You look like you're about to go on. You look like you're about to go on a flight, and your parents have allowed you to have the Discman for the whole thing.
Oh, what a thrilling time that was! Do you recall the Discman? We thought that was such cutting edge technology, and so much of it you had to just hold like this, because if not, it would just skip ludicrously.
Yeah, I loved that. And then also, do you remember when there was you'd get the Discman, and then you had a little cassette and it had a wire coming out, and you put the cassette in the cassette player in your car, and then you'd plug the aux into your Discman, and it was like you've had a fucking CD player in the car. Who can imagine such a thing?
I mean, I was using that sort of technology well into Obama's first term, which I got to tell you was which is a real bewildering set of kit for a lot of people to behold.
Where were you where were you living in Obama's first term?
I was living 2008, 2012. I was in Montreal for one and one half of those years, and then the rest of it I was in Toronto, Ontario, and then I moved to your beloved London in the summer of 2012.
Wow!
Don't you
been
love
all over
London?
the place?
Sorry? You love London, don't you? You love it.
No, not really. I think there are many problems with London. First of all, it's too fucking big. Nobody feels any sense of community or belonging or sense of civic pride in London because because it's just too. It's emblematic for the problems of the world, I think, because there's no feeling of being from anywhere. Whereas you'll find in Liverpool or Newcastle or Glasgow or Edinburgh or maybe in Toronto, I've no idea, I've never been there myself, that there's a sense of being that that coming from the city provides for the people. But in London, you don't get any of that that's why everybody's talking about issues and their political identity the whole time, because they need something to be defined by.
Is that the only reason they're talking about those issues in their political identity? Or is there some people that are active in it and then other people have seen it as this is a way, this is something to talk about, to be seen doing something, so they get into it?
No, I think that people would be talking about those issues, definitely, but people wouldn't be being defined by those issues. People take it on as a crux and as the centrifugal force of their entire identity, and therefore become religious to an extent about these political ideals that they hold so true. Whereas you shouldn't really be being religious or a zealot about these political things, because they should be pliable to change, as when the facts change, so do my opinions. Tony Jutt.
I never, ever quote Tony Jutt around me, because I can't remember who that is, but I know I've heard his name before.
Okay.
Who is Tony Judd? Please remind me.
He wrote A History of Post-War Europe, 1945 to 2008 or something, or 2000. He also wrote Ill Fares the Land, a book of social commentary based on, a post 90s inequality and the gap between the broadening. And he wrote lots of essays on things like Palestine and whatnot.
I think I was thinking of the guy who's in that kung fu movie where they steal the monkey from the town and then he has to fight a bunch of people. Tony Jaa, I think is who I was thinking of.
Yes, it wasn't him who said when the facts change, so do my opinions.
Yes. I mean, that's why I think the whole thing was quite startling in my own head. Because
Yeah.
if that's who had said that, I'd be like, my God, what a dynamic career he's led.
Yes, quite.
I do think that also a lot of the people being defined by their political identity is going to go away now that Donald Trump is about to move from being the Presidente de la Maco to man who is just on Twitter and is kind of bothersome. Again, one of us is in Britain, one of us is in America, so I think we're about to go. There's going to be a giant shift in terms of discourse and zeitgeistry in our two countries.
I think if you would indulge
Go ahead.
the similarity between Donald Trump and Jeremy Corbyn in the religiosity of their and the way in which populism has sort of succeeded for them both, and also has created. I'm not sure it's created the political movement, but it's given the political movements, both of them, something to get behind. So whether that be, the people possibly who support Jeremy Corbyn, possibly some people who support Donald Trump, who had legitimate concerns about the closure of America as an industrial nation, or inequality or corruption, which they were right to be suspicious of. Donald Trump utilized that and made an enemy for the people to get behind. And it's sort of exactly what Jeremy Corbyn did. And that's all still there for us here. And it's actually just made a deeper and more easily attacked enemy in Keir Starmer, the current leader of the Labour Party. So what I would be very interested is the next. That's the good thing about American politics, is there's going to be no new leader of the Republican Party. There's going to be no new figurehead for everybody to hate, or for Trump Republican.
I mean, finally the video element pays off. I don't know how I did that, but that really made my entire Whenever someone mentions Keir Starmer, I feel like this program is really going to work out for us, Alfie. I feel like it's going to be. We've already covered many a topic. I totally see what you're saying, and also again,
you can't fiddle around with your mic stand too much because it makes too much noise for the record.
If you ever fucking criticize me again, I will fucking kill you.
Have you got duct tape wrapped around it?
No, do you?
No, it looks good. It looks all rustic and like a cool rustic microphone.
I just heard you fart through the microphone, and I've never been so happy in my life. So,
to move like that. You do that.
I did. No, that's what I knew to look out for it. It was also a lovely rustic father fart. Like I could just see you sitting in what is referred to as your chair colloquially, just calling your son over, farting vigorously in his face, waving it and going, "That's hope, son. That's hope right there."
Would your father do that to you? Would your father fart in front of you?
I don't think I've ever heard my father fart in my life, but I would definitely. Do you fart in front of your children? Do you look them in the eye and just fart with reckless abandon? I will get back to Corbyn and this populist chat in a second. I just want clarification.
I don't fart, not with reckless abandon, but certainly with abandon. I fart. I do fart. I do fart next to them, but then only if it feels important.
As in, like, it's either this or terrible stomach pain, or it's like they've just asked you where the
Yeah, if
birds
it
and
just feels
bees.
medically important, yeah, then I'll
Oh,
fart
okay.
in front of them. But like, if it doesn't feel medically important, I don't think I will, because Jessie's often there as well, and it's important not to fart too much in front of her. I never heard my dad fart either, and I think that's why I have a quite a. I shouldn't fart so much because I think it was quite important to me as a father. But then my stepfather would fart frequently, and then
It's
afterwards
almost.
he'd raise his eyebrows and go, "Just farting." Uh, and
Is that what he actually did?
yeah,
What a real
just farting.
motley. What a motley crew of characters that make up your family. Your father's
But then I never.
always dressed in the beaver costume. Your stepfather has some sort of ailment I can't quite remember.
Yes.
And I always
Yeah, go on.
picture your mom holding a glass of wine because every time I've met her, she had a glass of wine.
Yes. Well, to be fair, you have only met her at night at an arts festival, so that's okay, I guess.
100%. I was about to say, I had Soho once. I met her in Soho once at the Soho Theater in the bar area. If anything, all of the context
Oh
makes
my
sense.
God, how wonderful would it be to be at the Soho Theatre in the bar area?
It would be nice, but there's also the Soho Theater bar area is excellent, but there is like much like standing at the tides come in and out. There was a point where if you're not careful, you're going to get quite dirty, or you're just going to be covered in crud.
Yeah, and there's also that sense of when you're in there and then you see somebody go, and then you've got to go over there and talk to them and have a conversation, and they ask you it's like, do you have an outfit in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Festival that you wear to stop people from stopping you in the street, like a cap and sunglasses?
I just benefit from that my career has gone somewhat according to plan, and that I'm not known well enough for people to say hello to me, and also I only
No, I mean from
with...
other comedians. Other comedians. I mean, no, of course, I don't mean like all my fans stop me in the street the whole time and say, "Can I fucking milk you off, please?" I mean, like,
I was like, Alfie, you and I are both at relatively the same esque levels at both Edinburgh and our fame's status. And if you were about to accuse me that I was about to launch into a rant again, actually, I would say you actually sell a few more tickets on the road than me, so I think you're slightly ahead of me. But I'm more beloved because I didn't spend the first few years of my career not wearing sleeves and being so tempestuous, which I think is a word I'm mispronouncing.
No, you've pronounced it absolutely correctly. I'm not sure you've used it right.
Dictionary Corner, starring a man who used to work at a Top Man. I mean, you are more than welcome to my flat in Los Angeles. I will just go. We will time it so I'll go somewhere else, and you can just take over my flat in Koreatown. I have a nice roof with a pool, and I have
Koreatown.
In Koreatown, the town of Koreans, and an inordinate amount of El Salvadorians for a place called Koreatown. I'll tell you.
Koreatown. I'm gonna Google map it now.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Also, it's great because it's both Beverly Hills Cop and Lethal Weapon have pivotal scenes filmed here. So just running errands is fun.
Sadly, Koreatown also exists in New Malden.
That is a very sad development.
Yeah, very very south of London. But if I just zoom out and swipe across, Toronto, and Los Angeles. Have you ever been to West Covina?
I have been to West Covina, home of Tommy Lee.
Is it?
Yeah, Tommy Lee.
Do you like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? The situation comedy, the musical situation comedy.
I have not seen that musical situation comedy. I do not love musicals in the way you love musicals. I love musicals in that I went to theater school. You get indoctrinated into enjoying. But I like the really stupid musicals. I don't like this Book of Mormon thing. I don't like we're mocking musicals for musical's sake. I'm like, no, they were fun enough already. We don't need.
I cannot stand this new musical fad. But also, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend doesn't take the piss out of the form of the musical or the tradition of it. They're just kind of good, funny songs that follow a sitcom narrative. and there's lots of good sitcom in it. There's lots of good musical numbers in it that have their own sort of jokes and pastiches of modern musical forms. It's a good sitcom, and the songs are great. Hey, there's even an Ontario, just east of West Covina. Anyway, where are we? Are you in Lakewood? Are you in Torrance, Terminal Island, Rancho Palos Verdes, Manhattan Beach?
Okay. You want to go? You're very south of me.
Okay.
So
okay. You near Glendale.
Now you're too north.
Oh dear, East Los Angeles.
No, so I'm slightly below East Los Angeles.
Okay, just above Downey.
Where the fuck are you? Downey?
Pico Rivera?
No, you've gone too far again.
Montebello.
I don't even know where that is.
Oh dear. The Citadel Outlets. Vernon?
Oh, Citadel Outlets is vague same parallel.
Okay. Downtown Los Angeles, Chinatown, Dodger
Very
Stadium.
Good. Going the wrong way, but downtown. If you go down to downtown Los Angeles and you literally head left.
Okay. Shouldn't I be heading right? Like. Okay. So Wiltshire Center, Koreatown.
See, you doubted.
This is right. This is where I get to be.
You get to be here, and it'd also be all open for the 2 months of your child's birth. I mean, if you were able to follow through on this, it would be one of those things where I will both respect your conviction and be a bit concerned for how much you'll love that fourth child.
I will, but it doesn't matter. Like, what is a baby? Honestly,
I mean, you also have had your fill of babies at this point.
I love my children, but I love, and you love the baby, and you want the baby to succeed based on what it's going to become.
But you, at this moment, is it also that you're just really tired because you have yet another baby? And this actually goes to the point of you don't want to be around because you just are done with the baby part of it. Yeah,
you want to. Yeah, that's the bit on stage is that you can't. It's the idea that you invest in the baby because you know that you're going to love something later. Like you don't go to the gym because you enjoy being at the gym. It's the promise of what the gym becomes.
Yeah, it's sort of like you don't love a bunch of unwatered. You don't like a bunch of flour in a bag. You like cake, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
You don't want to be there for the messing of the kitchen and the flour on the face. You want to be in Los Angeles showing your penis to people and drinking too much.
And what better town for it than Los Angeles? Well, at least they're showing your penis to people. I watched Lord of the Rings today.
Which one? All three?
No, I've watched all three in the last 3 days. And there's lots I don't understand about it. Anyway, I was mentioning it because Harvey Weinstein produced it, and he had one of the famous penises in LA, didn't he?
I mean, he was more of a New York gentleman. Most of his havoc happened in New York City.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, he was never an LA man.
Oh.
Yeah.
It still made it big in the movie business.
He certainly did.
I was drinking in a pub, and we got talking to these few girls. And they said, I'm not even going to. I won't even watch a Miramax film now. I won't even watch a Miramax film. What? That's not an effective protest.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is hope to God that I'm gonna try and affect my life so that it doesn't happen again. I'm not gonna not watch Pulp Fiction. That movie's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do extend, like, I'm not watching the later works of Kevin Smith, but that's not a political decision. That's just because I hate those movies and I don't know why he made them.
What's the later work of Kevin Smith like?
Everything after Mallrats. Dogma, I'll give you Dogma, but everything after Dogma I have no time for. Your Clerks 2. Your Clerks 2.
Yes, Jay and Silent Bob.
Strike Back. Fucking strikes out, mate. You're bad at baseball and bad at fucking comedy, evidently.
Why? But he was good. Like Dogma was good.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think it's one of those things where he stopped being a director and started being a personality. What I would guess.
Yeah. It's that thing that everybody calls you a genius, and then you go, "Fuck me, I'm a genius." I don't think I have to listen to the word "no" anymore,
Yeah,
or
it's one of
take
those
anybody
things.
else's advice or criticisms, or like listen to Stephen Merchant in Ricky Gervais's case.
Yes, exactly. I was about to bring up two cases, which was so Ricky Gervais's classic one is, oh, I don't need this Stephen Merchant guy, and what I have to say to Ricky Gervais is, you desperately need him. Also, Stephen Merchant desperately needs Ricky Gervais. I love when they work together. Separately, one is too saccharine, and the other one's like, trans people are toilets, but it's fun, and I'm weird. And you're just like, shut up, you fang tooth ass.
Sorry, which I don't know which one's which. One's too saccharine. That's Ricky Gervais, isn't it? And also, that was both. They were both Ricky Gervais, weren't they?
No, I find Stephen Merchant stuff is always like a bit like he's like, I'm a bit weird, and then it's really sad, and then it's okay.
Okay, I've never watched any of his stand-up, but I mean, I'm a big fan of his program, uh, Lip Sync Battle.
Oh, really? Is that his program?
I think he actually owns about 55 houses because of that program.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's very good. That actually, I already like Stephen Merchant more than Ricky Gervais by the power of a billion, and that makes it to a
Mm.
trillion. Cause I just am happy that like Ricky's like, I'm an artist, and Stephen Merchant's like, yeah, I'm Logan, and also I own all of Notting Hill now.
Hey, you know who the program creators were of Lip Sync Battle? Stephen Merchant and John Krasinski.
What?
Yeah, they co-created it. John Krasinski has just been busy being in the office, turning himself into an action hero, banging Emily Blunt like there's fucking no tomorrow, having two kids called Hazel and Violet.
Do you think
they're both colors? They're both colors. We're naming our babies both colors. It's really a beautiful thing.
Do you think that when Hazel or Violet, whoever came second, was born, he fucked off for 2 months to LA while his partner raised the child? I want to find someone else that would go in for this absolutely wonderfully hilarious plan.
Well, the thing is that I don't want it. So you do. So then there has to be a compromise where it has to be some give and take.
I mean,
what is your camera microphone setup? It's absolutely berserk.
I'm just trying to get this so it stopped. It kept lowering down, but then I have to put it up and get in the way of my mouth. So
do you have a faulty microphone arm?
Yeah, I need to get a new microphone arm, and I just don't want to. Do you have things to spend money on, but you don't want to? Instead, you just want to buy fun band T-shirts and art for your wall because you're going through a divorce.
I know I like buying lots of technical things. I cannot get enough of microphone arms. I'm going to get 2 arms for my monitors as well. I need to get my graphics card fixed so I can play FIFA on Twitch for hours like a droog loser virgin. And
what's nice about saying droog, starting with droog and ending with virgin, pardon me, is it gave it a lovely literary flair. But in the end, you were just calling someone shit, weren't you? It's rather nice indeed. All right, so
and I actually am very fond of lots of virgins that are of an age, and I'm trying to stop using it as a slur word.
You are raising 3 virgins. You have 3 virgins in your house.
Yes, that's my
a potential for the creation of a 4th virgin.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite line from my last show is taking them around Comic-Con and them saying, "I like it, Daddy," and I go, "Yeah, of course you do, you fucking virgins."
See, I feel like I saw a very different show than everyone else because I saw the last 3/4 of it on the first night.
It's just not the same thing. It's not anywhere near the same show.
Does someone heckle every?
You'll be able to watch the show on Amazon Prime in the spring.
Does someone heckle in that version and you just said, "Oh fuck you, you'd love to be me, you pig"? Because that was one of the funniest things I've ever heard you say. Because it was so.
Were you there for that?
It was the first night. I literally sat.
Wow.
I think I had one of the first laughs out of the gate because I know you well enough to see your eyes and know, oh, someone's going chicken killer. It's my favorite thing of watching stand up, of seeing friends of mine who do stand up, and you can see when they leave the script, and then also when they get that fake comedian heckler angry to the oh no, shut the fuck up. Like that switch is absolutely if you could sell that, I would be a billionaire because of my chocolate stand.
It, you that night was so great because he had been chipping in so many times, and I'd given him the benefit of the doubt so many times, and I'd actually managed to give him the benefit of the doubt enough that the audience was slightly going, "Come on, take him down a peg or two now, take him down a
Oh
peg or two."
yeah.
And then when it happened, and he went, "Oh yeah, it's a good joke, isn't it? Like yeah, not with your job, mate. You'd love to be me, you pig."
Oh,
It
first
was
of all,
it was
you
it
can't.
was the greatest moment of the festival. That's the sad truth of it.
It was wonderful, but it also you can't even do it justice in the retelling because you do not have the venom you had for a minute, and because it's also that thing of and you stuck the landing and went right back into the show. It was you could be so vicious in your tone of it, and then right back. Oh, it was so fun. Oh, it was so fun.
Mm.
I remember your noted director Adam Brace when we were talking about it on the last night of the festival, and he was like, "Oh, you're there for that night. Yeah, you know, it's important." I mean, he said something that like Adam says, where he says a lot of like very like a windy road to kind of like give you a compliment, but because you're not there, he's just telling me something he should say to you to encourage you as a performer. And I was just like,
Mm.
"Yeah, it's true." And he was like, "Yeah. We really hit a stride in the moment." I was like, or he just said a really funny thing to a heckler, and you don't need to endow it with superpowers.
I know. I prefer him to endow it with superpowers, but yes, fine, whatever. Maybe not to
Yeah,
you. Don't endow other people with superpowers around me.
yeah.
Endow
I'm
me
not.
with superpowers.
Yeah, I
He's
went
not
to a
here.
store.
What good is this doing?
Yeah,
If
it's not
he's not here to
helping.
hear the compliment, what
It's
is this for?
it's my number one complaint against English people. All people from that region of Europe
Mm.
all say lovely things about each other, never to the person. And I'm always like, go say it to them. They could use that positive information.
No, I think this is like this upfront and kind of let's talk about things attitude is what is spoiling planet Earth right now.
No,
the,
but
the,
no one's
the
talking about
reason the
issues.
reason why everybody was so emotionally articulate in previous generations is because they bottled everything up. So
They
when
were
something
not emotion,
genuinely
but they weren't
they
emotionally
were
articulate
they
in
were every time, like my parents are so much more engaged emotionally than like people of this generation, and people of this generation are so performative about their emotional experience that they go, oh my god, I'm sad, and everybody goes, oh, are you? That's a shame, actually. I hate being sad. And then yeah, you want to really want to talk now, don't you? And the whole
I really do. I would
the
really love
whole
to talk, but I will
experience
let you
is
talk.
just based in this fucking dog shit. Like, oh, I'm sad. Yes, I'm sad too. We're all kind of performatively being sad and displaying ourselves for each other. But it's happening so much that we get, sensitivity fatigue, whereas previously you'd bottle everything up and then you say and then you would just you wouldn't have to express yourself. Somebody would just come and hand you a big ham sandwich on buttery white bread and go, that's because she's dead.
I mean, excellent argument. And let me first, I will compliment your argument because I'm a positive North American person. Is ending it with a
Thanks.
delicious ham sandwich metaphor is a great distraction because now all I'm thinking about is, oh, I would like a nice buttery ham sandwich with just a
Mm.
splash of mustard with the butter and salty butter from England, where you're just going, oh, this is directly killing me, and I do not care for how fun this is to eat. Great point.
Mm.
Second of all, I think part of what you're seeing and interpreting is also your parents have lived a life, and by living a life and having genuine experiences, so emotions don't have to be performative. You can literally draw from the moment you felt despair, the moment you couldn't stop crying to breathe. It was only crying. You genuinely live that because as you spend more time on Earth, harder things are thrown at you, and so you learn to grow, and so you get a distance and an awareness of emotions of going, oh, all of those sort of things. But you're what, 15 years old, I believe it is, but you're what, 30?
Me,
Yeah,
33.
you're 33. But it's also that thing of I started getting burnt out of the performative nature of emotions sort of in my early 30s, and now that I'm 35 and have had a bunch of shit, I kind of just have distance of it of going, oh, you just people haven't had shit happen to you yet. It's just going to happen. And then that you will put that away and grow into yourself and strip away. That's where I think it is. I think your parents are showing maturity. It has nothing to do with the emotional stuntedness of how they were raised. They have just leaned into who they are and grown as people. What they were showing, Alfie, is mindfulness. And I have a book you should read about that very subject that will really help you grow into yourself.
What's the recommended retail price?
It's a very reasonable $9.98 with Amazon Prime.
$9.98.
That's right.
Well, no, somebody's trying to pull the fucking whatever your eyes with $9.98. Something's wrong with the book. Something's wrong with the info.
It might be that I know that it was less than $10 American dollars, and I can't
dollars.
$10 American dollars, and I can't remember what the price in fact was.
Okay. I understand that, but I also think that, and I think one thing that's important for me to remember is that the whole world doesn't actually take place on social media. So whilst it can feel like everybody's a mad pig, and because that's the situation on Twitter and Instagram, and there's two different sorts of mental illnesses. People are morally vain on Twitter and aesthetically vain on Instagram. Yes, you've done your fair share of murder of the indigenous population. Not you personally, but as a people.
Oh, Canada is.
Canada's pretty bad for that, isn't it?
Oh, Canada does a real fine line in the murder of the indigenous population, followed up by the absolutely dastardly maneuver of going, now that we're done with them, let's hand them over to the Catholic Church, who will be in charge of their education. But in this case, education will be assault of all varieties, to the point that the Pope himself will go, we might need to actually apologize for that one.
I thought that you just had these little pens where you just fed them all like old sandwiches and gave them enough heroin that they never left their ice death heroin pens.
I mean, you're making a joke. There is a
large I'm basing it on, in reality, I think I read it
what you may be basing it on is that in St. John's, Newfoundland, and it still might be there was a large Confederate flag like debate over the fact that there was a cage in front of the Houses of Provincial Commons, which is where the last native person of Newfoundland lived and very much died. And he was just in a cage on display, and they've kept the cage up.
Ooh.
And it was one of those debates where people that were like, well, we have to keep up its history, and you're going, and you want to remember that. You're looking to have to explain why there's a big cage in front of your government building, because it's not like you can't say it was for the tiger. It's literally oh, we kept a man in there. But I also it's my thing of as I'm getting older, and I'm sure you'll agree, I'm getting more and more against the idea of being in a club or a clique or an organization. I'm with each passing day, I'm like, I don't want to be in your fucking gang. Fuck
yes.
you. And I find that a lot of institutions in stand-up comedy really breed that vibe. Britain and America both do it in a way that Canada doesn't. Because Canada is so small, everything has to be all together. Where Britain and America are big enough that it can be like, we're club people, and you're the fucking alty people, and you're the over there people, and we're the fucking shoe store people. Where I'm kind of like, I want to do all of the things, and you do understand that all of you are the same. All of you have the same people. All of you have the good people, the hack people, the annoying person, the person that everyone pretends to like because they've gotten a fair amount of success, but is actually a monster. It's all they're all the same people. Just why don't we all get together and it doesn't have to be weird. Why do I always have to go to the Soho Theater? Why don't we hang out somewhere fun that I like? Also the Soho Theater. The point lost its traction towards the end, but the beginning of it was very good. It was a very good point, unfortunately ruined by the person that created the point.
I took on board a lot of it, and as your traction departed, so did my comprehension.
I think that was the nice part of it. I mean, from the sounds of it, you then have to raise a child for 18 years that, from the sounds of it, you're not the biggest fan of.
No, but I love it. I love the idea of having a big, I don't mind all of that. I don't. I really, really don't. And I love, and I can't wait to meet. This is the thing, is that I don't know who the fuck who's 10, who is that? Is maybe what's his personality? Whereas women, it's in their interest and in their programming, or maybe it's in everybody's programming to try and um, imbue all these characteristics into babies that they don't currently possess, and I just cannot do that. So Donnie and Margot both have personalities and are all the better for it, for the most part. Although they're quite naughty little bastards a lot of the time. And
Yeah, they're 4 and 6, mate.
yeah. Which is so it's fine. It is fine. And 10 is not a person.
Yeah, no, he's literally just a bag of shit.
He's a bag of shit. Thank you. That was very cathartic to hear somebody else say it. Finally,
I feel
like I'm being gaslit.
Babies for the first 3 months, it's very weird because you have to just pretend that it's fun and cute, and then they turn that moment where they finally figure out like, oh, I better actually start like pulling my weight in the cuteness department here. That's a baby, right? Just fucking weird smiles and go whoa 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 whoa. Yeah, come on, baby, make some noise.
Exactly. You've absolutely got that right on the button, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will, and I'll be back for that.
I would like to talk about that all. I've recently developed not an enamoration, but I'm like, I think pegging is something that's going to happen to me before my death. I don't think I'm ready for it yet, but it's something that's going to happen.
I'd be ready for that.
You'd be ready
to
for
receive
that?
it. I'd have to get a cross and I'd have to get familiar with the equipment before I
absolutely.
Yeah, and engage in some sort of a little bit of maths.
Yeah.
I'd have to do some ratio work. Dildo to asshole.
Yeah, what you need is a lady that's really gotten up some nonsense who's like, I like doing that. So then you can be like, all right, can you plumb my depth so we don't end up having to go to the emergency room?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And just how long I don't have, like, I would struggle with a. So just, I don't know. What does this dildo look like anyway?
Yeah. I'm gonna let you go eat chocolate. I'm gonna go do jump rope on the rooftop.
Okay, this has been the Big Cracker podcast. If you've enjoyed it, then please tell your friends about it. This has been the Sergeant Come Hands.
Very good. I mean, we couldn't get Sergeant Come Hands past. Can we call it Cum Baby? And just spell it COMBABY? The Cum Baby podcast? Cum Baby? But really what we mean is cum as in CUM.
My friend once had a song called "Come On!" ! You're back, which I always enjoyed. Yeah, it's Josh. Yeah, Josh Weller.
Yeah. Lovely Josh Weller. Always remembers my name, and it always takes me 1 second too long to remember his name when we have social interaction.
How often do you have social interaction? Well, obviously not in the last year, but
I ran into him every day of the 2019 Edinburgh Fringe Festival where he was there doing comedy. We just had a similar rhythm, particularly when we wanted to maybe have a nice baked sweet from that nice coffee shop that was far too expensive on that area where the bus is.
Okay. All right.
I will talk to you either Monday or Tuesday or possibly both, where we will do this. You'll just put it on your Discord of get me some topics, and then we'll go from there.
Yes.